Hey sisters! So, oh my god, I hate myself. I asked you guys on my story for questions, and there were a lot of really good personal ones that I want to answer in another video, but I noticed that a lot of them had to do with like advice and kind of figuring your life out, because for some reason I think you guys have the impression that I have my shit together, which, trust me, I do not, and I mean that literally too, because I don't have enough fiber in my diet. Wow, we're off to a great start in this video. So my first and most asked category of questions are about dating. So I thought for this, I would bring in our resident male / dating expert to help me answer them. Hey, it is your favorite—
Oh my god, I look bad. It's like behind the chair.
Oh, that's terrifying. I feel like this is already too sexual.
My ass is too fat.
It looks like you're wearing a diaper.
I'm like crushing my—
This chair was not made for two people. I ruined some of the big sis vibes because of you, but that's okay. Worth
Sister,
it.
stop it.
Get out of here. I also answered all of these questions before David came. I answered them by myself, so I might kind of cut back and forth, so don't like freak out if the camera angle changes and David disappears every so often, but he'll probably come back. Maybe, unless you don't say anything useful, and then I'll just cut you out of this video.
I said nothing useful.
My first question is, how to tell if a guy likes you?
Guys are pretty obvious. How do you think a guy's into you?
If his name is David, then he's definitely into me. Babe. This is something that I wish I had gotten real advice on when I was in middle school and high school, because I spent so many of those years trying to look up online articles or like fill out a BuzzFeed quiz that's like, oh, he never talks to me, but he made 5.9 seconds of eye contact with me across the room in chemistry class, so math totals up, he must like me. Now that I think about it, those articles always had a weird emphasis on exactly how long he stared at you. 2.9 seconds and below, get out of here. 3.2 and above, he wants to have your babies, you know?
1, 2.
God damn it. I know you want to have my babies. Does he text you back? Do you have a good time hanging out? Does he not flake on plans?
Laughing at everything when you try to be funny, even if you're not funny. I'm sure we've all experienced that. Like, you say a joke and you're like, wow, that was really bad. And they just like crack up. Like, you did that a lot on the first date.
I thought you were actually funny.
Oh, she's lying.
Did you not think I was funny, but you were laughing because you liked me?
No, you're very funny.
Those are all good signals, but you know your situation best and you're smart. Just be honest with yourself. In high school and middle school, I liked so many different guys and I had really intense crushes, but I always had to spend so much effort convincing myself that maybe he still liked me. All of the evidence I knew deep down pointed otherwise. He probably wasn't interested. Next question is kind of related. How to get a boyfriend? Trust me, girl, I have been through this struggle too. I've always been single the majority of my life. My relationships haven't been that long, so y'all know that I have been single and mingling around for quite a while before I found David. My advice is the advice that everybody fucking gives, but it's so true. You have to be totally okay being single. You really have to feel confident in yourself and feel like you have your own purpose in life before you dive into a relationship.
Love yourself, trust yourself before you can trust someone else, love someone else. If you're not happy with yourself, how is someone else gonna be happy with you?
When I was younger, I used to hate hearing this advice, especially in my earlier years of college where I was really like thirsted for a boyfriend. I really just wanted a relationship to fill the time or fill some kind of void in myself. Relationships will never solve your problems.
It's a band-aid.
Yeah, exactly. It's a band-aid that
will
like
rot away.
Oh my god, that's graphic. It's like, yeah, it's a band-aid that it's like it'll eventually get worse, or like the
Band-aids fall off.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I think this metaphor has gone too far.
Tune in next time for Wound Care 102.
Over this past summer, where I started working for myself and really dedicating myself to my YouTube channel and putting effort into my videos, I was living on my own for the first time. I really found who I was when I was alone, and I think that it made me such a better dater / girlfriend. I realize this sounds super obnoxious because I'm like newly in a relationship and I'm like, oh wow, I have everything figured out. But obviously, even after you feel confident in your single self, there is a whole lot of luck involved. My other advice—
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. my
Earthquake!
I don't know, you have to sift through a bunch of people who are gonna be bad for you in order to find somebody who's right.
You're gonna date some people that are not compatible at all. You're gonna go to a restaurant, sit there for 2 hours. It seems like an eternity because it's such a struggle. You're like, oh yeah, that too, yeah.
1 in 20 people you go on a date with, you could end up like dating for a while. Do you think that's right?
I think that's about right. Don't get discouraged if it doesn't work out right away, because I mean, I used them for years before I found someone this great.
Aw. Well, no you didn't. I was like your second Bumble date.
I mean, I used them, like—
Did you go on dates though?
No. I wouldn't call them dates.
You're picky. Oh. So it's all just a matter of putting yourself out there, trying to be the best human you can be. Yeah, and even though having a boyfriend is really nice, remember that you don't need one. You are a complete human without anybody else. I feel like there's so much pressure to be in a relationship.
Being in a good relationship is better than being single, but being in a bad relationship far worse than being single.
That's so true.
Ashley's not my first girlfriend.
Well, you are the first boy I've ever looked at, so I'm offended.
I stayed in multiple bad relationships for way longer than I should have just because I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be single. I thought that being single would somehow be worse than being in a terrible relationship, and it's totally not.
Next up, how to get over a breakup. I have been dumped once and had a mutual breakup once, and I know that getting broken up with is so fucking shitty.
The thing about a breakup is it feels awful. Like, it feels really awful.
Do you get physical pain when you get broken up with?
Physical pain. Even when you do the breaking up. Normally, you've been dating this person for at least a couple months. They've been a really big part of your life. You might have loved them. It physically hurts, and it feels a lot worse than it actually is.
For me, I really like to keep myself busy because if I give myself too much time, I will just wallow for days, weeks, months. I have a lot of tears stored in these tear ducts and they're ready to fucking come out.
After my first breakup, which I was still in high school, it's pretty messy, went to class, went home, and just binged anime. So don't do that.
Give yourself enough time to process, but right after a breakup is also a great time to really throw yourself into work or hobbies or school because you have so much emotional angst that you just want to like power into something, you know? Texting and talking after a relationship. I think it's a horrible idea.
I think everyone's ready to talk to their ex at some point. Until that time comes, which is different for everyone, do not talk to them at all.
It's so easy to fall back into the same patterns of saying romantic things to each other, saying nice things to each other if you're close by.
Good night, babe.
When your ex like throws in a babe and you're like, get the fuck out of here. It is so toxic to still be following your ex on social media because you're constantly gonna be reloading. Every time you go on Instagram, you're gonna be like, oh, did they post something? You're gonna like analyze all of their comments and all of their likes, see if they're liking a new girl's photo. Right after a breakup is also a great time to reconnect with friends or to reach out to new friends or cool people that you know that you'd like to hang out with. You still have a support system even though your significant other is no longer in your life. And fourthly, it is just kind of a matter of time. I remember feeling like I could never stop being sad because I'd still be clinging on to all of these memories of my ex, but thank God for my fucking short-term memory because over time, I just can't recall them anymore. I don't remember what it was like being with him. I don't have these vivid memories of our dates together. He was just like, oh, that was my ex. You know, every relationship teaches you a lesson, whether it was good or bad, or no matter how it ended, you come out a stronger person and knowing even more what you want in your next relationship. So trust me, your next one will be better. In the meantime, take care of yourself, fam. Oh, the American educational system. I love you so much. No, I don't. It fucking sucked. My first question is advice for high schoolers. High school was kind of a wild ride for me from start to finish. There were times where I had a friend group, where I was rejected from the friend group, where I felt really lonely and depressed and wanted to drop out, where I had a great time at the end of senior year and didn't want to leave. So I feel like I have done it all. Firstly, don't stress out too much. I was such a little stressed bean all of high school. I worked like 3 to 4 jobs at a time on top of getting all A's. I wish I had the confidence in myself earlier on to really dive into creative endeavors more rather than spending all my time on grades. But you know, c'est la vie, I think is what they say. The French are screaming. Remember that you're a teenager and have fun in high school while you can. I always had the mentality that was like, oh, fuck high school. It's the worst 4 years of my life. I gotta get out of here. But by the end, I really learned to enjoy it for what it was. It's the last time that your mom's gonna cook all your meals for you, that you don't have to pay rent, that you get to see the same people every single day and kind of fuck around in class. And I kind of miss that part of high school, even though I was so bored for a lot of it. Even if you're a little bit antisocial like me, go to the dances if you can. I'm so glad that I got to go to prom. Also, it's totally okay if you don't have a solid friend group. I really didn't for most of my high school experience, and it made me feel kind of shitty at first, but then I realized it was really fun because I could choose exactly who I wanted to hang out with. Being outside a friend group made my friendships that I did have a lot deeper because it wasn't just like, oh, I hang out with these people because we're in a group text together. It was more like, I hang out with this person because I really care about them and I really enjoy time with them. How do you choose the right college? College apps were like the worst part of my high school experience. It's so hard when you're 17 to be like, this is me, this is what I want to do in the world, this is my purpose. Please just fucking accept me into your school. I don't know, today I'm still not sure if I chose the right college. It's easy to get caught up in the rankings and the prestige and who has the best pamphlet or which school your parents are excited to tell their coworkers that their daughter got into, but those are not good reasons to choose a school. You should choose the school that feels right for you. Make sure that they have professors that you like, sit in on classes if you can, look into your major in detail, see what the requirements are, see if those are classes that you want to take. Choosing a college can be so stressful because you're so young and it seems like a life-changing decision, and it can, you know, alter the course of your life, but college is really what you make of it. Even though, especially freshman year, I really regretted not going to Stanford because I was like, shit, I could be with people that I vibed with more than LA, I could be at a lot more prestigious school, I could have good connections, but now I have this YouTube channel and I don't think I would have done it as much if I was at a really academic school like Stanford, so things work out either way. How do you choose good courses in university? For me, it's all about the professor and not the subject matter. I could be taking a class on like French shellfish of the 16th century, and if the professor was interesting enough, I sure as fuck would love shellfish. Feel free to try out classes and then swap them within the first couple of weeks. Honestly, it makes your life so much easier than having to deal with a shitty professor all quarter. How to stop procrastinating. Well, I am not super qualified to do this because I am quite the procrastinator as well. Tell yourself you can procrastinate, but only if you do things that are productive. I'll fucking like film a video, edit a video, take photos, do all my other assignments, write a screenplay, I don't know, do everything so that I can procrastinate the thing that I'm dreading the most. I mean, I guess that's still procrastination, but at least I've gotten some other things done, so slightly better procrastination. My last school-related question is how to survive all-nighters, and oh honey, I have pulled my fair share of them. Get a little caffeinated, but know your limits. Don't chug like a shit ton of Red Bull. If you can, I know this isn't really an all-nighter, but sleep at your normal bedtime for like 2 hours and then get up to do your work. Initially, right after you wake up, obviously you're gonna be more tired because you haven't gotten a sufficient amount of sleep, but the next day you're not gonna feel like you have a giant headache and you can't move and you can't think. It really helps, like, I don't know, it does something in your fucking body that makes the all-nighter a lot better. Do not pull an all-nighter the night before a test. At that time of night, nothing's sticking in your brain. It's over, just go to sleep. Next up, we have some questions about apartments, which I'm actually very excited for because I am such a fucking nerd for apartments and real estate. Catch me on Zillow every single morning just looking at insanely overpriced places in LA. So my first question that somebody asked was just, how to apartment? I like that they're keeping it plain and simple. I guess I'll just give you all my apartment advice. Start your apartment hunt online to get a sense of the prices in the area that you're looking for, but when you actually go shopping for an apartment, go to that specific area and look at all of the signs on the buildings and call the numbers. Not only are you gonna find more apartments, but you're also gonna find cheaper apartments. I feel like landlords are just lacking behind the rest of us in terms of technology. Most of them still do it the old-fashioned way and have numbers on their building that you can call. When you're touring apartments, there are a couple things that are really important that most people forget to check for. Check the fucking shower water pressure because your life will suck if your shower isn't good, or at least it would for me because I love myself a good shower. Have somebody else stand in another room of the apartment and then talk to each other or yell to each other and find out how soundproof the walls are, which I failed to do in this apartment and it is not very soundproof at all, even though I thought it was, so that's not been great for my roommates. I apologize. This one's random, but if you live in a hot area, fucking make sure that your apartment has AC because mine does not and it sucks in the summer. Once you decide to move in, this is my biggest tip, especially for people in college, is to get the numbers or emails of the people who are moving out. That made it so much easier for this apartment because I was able to communicate with her about when we should transfer the utilities. I also asked her whether she wanted to sell any of her furniture to me and my apartment mates. So my apartment mates were able to get a bunch of really cheap furniture. They got like their bed frames and their desks, and she even left us a microwave and some cooking utensils that she didn't want anymore. Kind of related to that, somebody asked, how much do you pay for your apartment? Contrary to popular belief, I don't live alone. That would be so nice, and I'm hoping to be able to live alone after I graduate. But right now I live in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment with 2 of my other friends living in the other room. My share of the rent is $1,200 per month plus utilities. Rent is like really fucking expensive here. I don't know what to tell you guys. My last apartment related question is how to make your room look more adult and not like your mom designed it when you were 12. I have a pretty neutral color palette going on, which I think is generally perceived as like adult-y for some reason. The second thing is textures. Like I have copper on this little railing, I have some gold, I have some wood on my bed. Honestly, I am kind of a cheapo and I don't like bothering to frame my artwork, but it immediately, like even if you have posters, if you have little things that you drew, it makes the room look like you're a real adult. My next category is jobs and internships. So my first question is, how do you get internships? I think other industries are a lot more merit-based, but stuff like entertainment is really about who you know and whether you can make a good first impression. I had absolutely zero connections in the film industry coming here. I grew up in suburban Maryland, so my first internship was just one off the UCLA Facebook page where I literally like took out the trash for these people. They treated me so bad and they didn't pay me, but it was enough to get some experience on my resume to get my second internship, which I got through a random girl I didn't know on the UCLA Facebook group who needed a replacement intern. At least in the entertainment industry, they don't like interviewing people or looking through resumes. They just ask their previous intern who their next intern should be, and then it's just a chain of interns. So check a Facebook group or ask your friends if you know that they're interning, whether you could take over their internship next and just slide in there. Also, I wish I had known this when I was younger and I was interning freshman year. Your work is important and you should show that you're a hard worker, but it's also equally important to create a personal connection with the people at your office. I was such a little office mouse and I would just take my work in a corner, stay really quiet, do my work efficiently and do it well, but I really wouldn't be sociable with anybody else in the office because I didn't want to bother them. Don't be afraid to ask your coworkers, to get lunch, to get coffee, to be able to ask them questions about how they got their jobs and how they got started in your industry, because people love talking about themselves. They love mentoring other people. They love feeling really smart and like they can tell other people what to do at me in this video. So they're probably more than happy to talk to you, and then you can make even more connections. Next up, somebody asked, I have an interview coming up. Do you have any tips? Interviews are about showing that you're qualified and that you know what you're talking about, but it's also about becoming friends with the interviewer and showing them that you're a person that they want to work with. The first question pretty much any interviewer will ask is, so tell me about yourself. If you answer this first question well, first of all, their other questions are going to be kind of irrelevant because you've already told them why you're a good candidate for this job, who you are as a person, and secondly, it'll create this kind of conversational banter rather than here's a question and let me answer it. I used to always feel guilty for talking for a long time. I didn't want to take too long with responses for interview questions because I'm like, surely they have a bunch of other questions that they'd like to ask me. But that first question is really your opportunity to tell them everything that you want them to know about yourself and paint your own story. You're gonna get on little tangents with the interviewer. They'll be like, oh, I used to live in Maryland too. What was that like? It creates a conversation rather than an interview, which is so important because it makes you connect with your interviewer so much more personally. Always, always, always send a thank you email, or if you have the company address, send them handwritten thank you notes. And my last question, which is kind of related to jobs, is just how to stay motivated in general. I feel like I've always been a pretty motivated person, almost to a fault, because I'm a little bit of a workaholic. I think staying motivated for me is easy now because the things that I'm working on, which are YouTube and film school, are things that I really, really care about, and I can see myself in them. I can like literally see myself in this. But it's like my personality is reflected in it. I'm working for myself, so the hours I put in really just like go back to benefit me. I think a lot of the reason that people don't feel motivated is that they don't actually care, or they don't have like skin in the game, you know? If you're going to college or getting a certain major or getting certain grades just because it's what you're expected to do, maybe your parents pressured you into it, at the end of the day, even if you try, it's really hard to work towards things that other people want and that you don't want for yourself. Search for something that you love enough and that you care about enough that it's easy to get motivated. This is probably a bigger answer than you asked for. I don't have any like fun little hacks. Really, you just have to level with yourself and kick your own ass. If you've had a really unproductive year or something, just be like, you know what? I'm gonna shut the fuck up now. I'm gonna stop complaining and I'm going to get up, do the things that I told myself that I'm gonna do, and it's gonna make me feel a lot better. Sorry that was kind of harsh, but you know, sometimes you need somebody to kick your butt. All right, that is all the advice I'm going to ramble to you guys today. Thank you so much for watching this video as always, and I hope that some of this advice was helpful and it wasn't like too preachy and weird. I don't know, I don't normally do advice in videos. And I'll see you guys next year. Oh my god, I hate that, that's so cheesy. Okay, bye!